Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Lenard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics. And up front, I did a boo-boo. Apparently, I did a typo, but we're able to work it out on the time. And joining me is Lon Blais. That's Lonblais. However, like the fire, but not spelled like the fire. And we were just joking in the green room about what a great name that is marquee-wise, him as an actor. But that is indeed his real name. Right, Lon?
Absolutely. I have 8 brothers and sisters, and all our names begin with L. And I'm towards the end, so I get one of the more obtuse names. We're Linda, Larry, Lance, Lauren, Leland, Luke, Lanny, and Lisa.
Wow, I couldn't say that as fast as you did.
I grew up with practice.
Yeah, right. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice.
Yeah. At any rate, and you won't know, but I say that jokingly to my audience. That's kind of a verbal tick. I've cured myself of the ahs and the ums, but I have that verbal, at any rate, tick of, to use as the crutch of segueism. So at any rate, what you're really here for, however, we'll go into acting and all that, but you're known as the neighborhood devil. Nope, I'm sorry. I mean the neighborhood angel. And also for those in the States, because this could be heard anywhere. I've got listeners all over the world. Those in the States will be thinking the neighborhood angels, your number one choice in home care. No, not those people either. He's known as the neighborhood angel. And go ahead, please, that conjures images in my mind. But as the saying goes, don't assume. So I'm not going to assume. And we're going to let you explain the concept as it exists.
Okay. The name is sort of accidental. It came like sort of a backdoor to a situation that was going on. My wife was sick for a very long time, and I went out into the backyard and had a very long conversation with whoever and whatever is greater than myself to see if I could make some kind of arrangement, some kind of deal so that she would be better. And after having a long, lengthy, loud conversation, I went back into the house. The last thing I said was, I await your reply. And I said, just give me something to do and I will do it. I want my wife whole again. And about a week later, my very next door neighbor, who I had a passing relationship with, nothing malicious, nothing bad, just nod of a head. Good morning. How you doing? Fine. That was it. He was putting away his patio furniture, and he said, you think you could give me a hand putting this away? And I said, sure. And I go to help him put it away. And when we're all done putting it and wrapping it up and such, he goes to hand me money. And I went, oh, don't be stupid. And he tries several times. And I said, really, it's fine. I don't want anything. And he said, thank you, Lon. You're an angel. And I thought nothing of it. Literally nothing of it. It went away. Then that same scenario played out 4 or 5 more times in the next few weeks. I was called into a situation. I ran across a situation. I helped someone out, and they said, oh, I'm so glad you were here. You're an angel for doing this for me. Boom. 4 or 5 people call me an angel. I walk into my wife, and I went, look at me. I'm the neighborhood angel. Again, something I just said off the cuff, not a plan to it. The moment I said it, I forgot it. A couple weeks after that, one of my best friends, who is, we all have the friend that calls you every time of day and says, Lon, you got to help me out. And I am always the guy that helps him out. He's helped me out too, don't get me wrong. But I would say that I do it more often than he. And he said, I've just become unknowingly the executor of a will. And I said, okay, what do you need? He said, I got to clean out this guy's apartment. And I said, okay. He said, guy lives 6 blocks from where you are. So I said, well, let me go look at it. And I go and I look at it. I said, how long do I have to do this? He said, you got till the end of the month. It was July 2nd. I had till July 31st. And perhaps a little swaggishly, I said, I can do anything in 29 days. So I get started. And as I'm cleaning it out, having never done this before, I'm figuring out how to get rid of stuff, good stuff. I'm trying to find charities. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. And as I'm doing it, it's in an apartment building and realtors are seeing me do this and they're coming by and the first guy goes, oh, now that you're moving out, please consider our services. And I'm like, oh no, not my apartment. I'm just cleaning it out. To which the first guy says, oh, you clean out apartments and houses and spaces? And I said, no. And the second guy said, oh, you clean out apartments and spaces and such? And I said, no. And then the third guy came in and said, you clean apartments and spaces? And I went, yeah, I do. Absolutely, I do. Not knowing how, I do. And what I discovered was I operate my entire vast, industrial complex out of a Kia Soul, okay? Not a big car. But what I remembered was there are charities that want stuff, so I started contacting them. And at the same time, I would, at the end of the day or when I went home for lunch from working this, cleaning this place up, I'd take a carload of stuff and put it out in front of my house in my driveway with a big sign that said free. And I'd go in and I'd eat lunch and I'd come outside and the stuff would be gone. And I was like, oh, that's one way of doing it.
Poof, so, magic. Yeah.
Keep doing this. And then I find charities and I find the more institutional ones. And I'm casting no aspersions at these people. They do wonderful things. But things like the Salvation Army and St. Vincent de Paul, they want stuff, but they want you to take pictures. They want you to send them the pictures. And then they go, oh, we'll take this one, this one, this one, and this one. Yeah. And please bring it to us. If you can't bring it to us, we can have a truck to you somewhere, 6 to 8 weeks. And have 6 to 8 weeks. So I was, I always refer to myself technologically as techno-Amish. I think I'm like techno-Mennonite now. I'm a little better. And I said, perhaps I can give this stuff away online. So the people in my yard taking stuff and all this, I got charities to come and take. And not only did they take, but they gave the estate a receipt saying, thank you so much for your charitable donation. And I went, So what I have done over time is I have amassed, I think I'm up to 23 different charities that I have one that outfits public housing units in New York City. And they take beds and lamps and wall art and that sort of thing. And they come in and they take a whole bunch of stuff. And then once the charities are done, I've gotten rid of 10, 20, 30, 40% of the stuff that was in the apartment. There's still a lot left. There's half gallons of paint. There's half bottles of Windex. And in the beginning, I was emptying them and putting them in recycling bags and da. And then as I invited the people in my driveway to come directly to the places that I was cleaning out, I was like, hey, people, here's a house full of stuff. Take what you want. The only thing that I do with clients is I said, you have to have everything that you absolutely want locked in one room, locked in a room, locked upstairs that no one can go upstairs, locked in an area, and then just let them descend. I lovingly refer to these people as my piranha. They just come in.
Oh, I love that. That's great.
I call them the piranha and they come in and they take half bottles of Windex and half rolls of paper towel because to someone who doesn't have that stuff, it's everything, and I now have a list that I don't invite the public per se into these events. What I do is I now have 238 people that I email going, okay, guys, next Tuesday at this address from 10 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, come and take what you want. Okay, we've got the charities taking out their percentage. We've got the pickers, the piranhas taking out their percentage. I have metal scrappers that come in and they take stuff for nothing. And the metal scrappers, if you call them first, they if you go, I have stuff for you all the time, because I have stuff for these people all the time, when I call them, they respond, not like, oh, I'll get to you. Whereas if you're moving out once and you, the client, yourself call the charity, they'll go, we'll get to you eventually. Me, they know they get stuff from all the time, so they come to. So now what I've done is I've orchestrated an army of free carding and free labor for people which chops the price down that a traditional junk removal company would cost by half, sometimes even 2/3, depending on how much the charities and pickers and scrappers take. Once all those things are gone, basically what you have is trash and recycling. That's all you have left. Now, sometimes in hoarding situations, it can be a dumpster full of trash, of trash. But sometimes, when a house is pretty well maintained, I've emptied out 95% of the stuff in a space, gone, taken away by other people. I drank coffee watching them do it. That's a little grandiose. A lot of times I'm on the other side of the couch as they're carrying it out, because the faster I get it out, the faster I go on to another job, that sort of thing. And then what happened? So I was in the business for a while of emptying out spaces, and that's all I did. And then what started to happen, even from the beginning, I'd get the place empty, and then the client or the client's realtor would say, the wall-to-wall carpeting in here is a mess. You really should tear it out. The floors underneath are pretty good. It'd be better to show it. Client, Lon, do you know someone that would tear out the carpets? Well, in the beginning, I did. I did everything. I did everything that a non-licensed person could do. You don't need a license to tear out wall-to-wall carpeting. I would not broach plumbing or electricity, but I knew plumbers. I knew electricians, and I was such a terrible businessman, but a really good friend, that I would hand off these jobs to other people, say, nice to have gotten you work, please, if anyone's ever emptying stuff, tell me. And I thought, we'd back and forth referral. A month after that, people would send me a check saying, thank you so much for getting me that job. Here's your piece. And I'm like, oh, there's a piece? That's a thing? I didn't know referrals were a thing. That's how terrible a business person I was. But it has grown broader and broader and broader, so that I'll give you the most extreme examples of it. I'm cleaning out someone's basement, and the woman looks me in the eyes and says, hey, you wear glasses. Do you know a good optometrist? And it's the last question I thought I was going to be asked. I happen to know a pretty good optometrist, so I suggested it. So now I'm suggesting out, and I've suggested out everything from a hairdresser to a stonemason, and all of those people are thanking me for doing that. And it's made, when people call me, half the time it's for a clean out. The other half of the time it's, Lon, you wouldn't know a good garage door guy, would you? I become that guy who knows a guy. I've become my own referral service, And the joke is that I get a hairdresser, because my wife has a really great hairdresser, and I've suggested someone. And I went to high school with a guy that became a nuclear physicist. So I contacted him and I said, can I put you on my referral list just in case anyone ever asks? And he said, oh yeah, sure. So he said, you got someone that needs plutonium graded, you send them to me, and that's kind of where I am with it. And I'm not a young man. And so I am working on, getting a point where I'm just referring, I'm booking work and giving it to other people. And those people strike their own deal with the client. So they're not my employees. I'm just referring them. So it's a nice little niche that I've created with this. And it's something that I can do until I can't do anything anymore, because in the last 6 months, my wife, she turned to me, she said, honey, I love you. Best thing about you is you can move a piano. Worst thing about you, though, is you can move a piano. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, She said, you hurt yourself at any point this, you are not going to repair like the boy I married. And she's right. And it's time for me to step away from that more and more. So I have younger, stronger, even more enthusiastic backs to take on that on us, and they're happy to book the work for themselves.
Yeah, you've become your own networking agency, your own referral agency, and all of this happened over time. You've become Craigslist or Angie's List in a way, right?
But the difference that I always say in them, and again, I'm not here to decry anyone's business. I have turned to people who said, they hired me on a Thursday and said, my real estate agent is showing this tomorrow at 6:00. I said, call one of the big services, because they'll send 9 guys over and carry it all the way in a truck. It will cost you a fortune. And in the beginning, I couldn't do it in 24 hours. I can now, with the right team. I can now, but in the beginning I didn't. And those services are right for the right people. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But when I refer someone out, it was either the plumber that works at my house, so I trust him enough to work me, or I was at your house and saw your plumber and said, wow, he's really good. Can I get his card? So that I've seen their work. That's what I try to, as opposed to, just joining a list and them doing some background check on you. I know the people I refer.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ed Bondarenka, and I host Your American Heritage on Saturdays at 2 in the afternoon on this station. Your American Heritage is a show about the struggle we find ourselves in and how to react to it in the light of our biblical and American heritage. Listen to it while you're working around the house, the garage, cleaning the guns, walking the dog, driving, or just lazing around. Join me at 2 o'clock Saturdays here on Wham Radio, 1600 AM, 92.7 FM.
God bless America.
Right. It's like you mentioned at first, in a way, it was just kind of your own form of charity before it
I always say
became
that.
this business opportunity.
I have what I refer to as Starbucks guys. They're the guys I handle, the council of old coots in the morning that, have a piece of advice about everything. And, one of them's a contractor and one of them's a plumber and that sort of thing. And it's like, I toss the work their way,
Yeah,
And-
but my point being, even charities, you need to vet them to make sure they're not keeping 90% and giving 10% to who
Yeah.
needs it.
I will tell you, the people, even when the charities don't take it, and I find something to go to someone who needs it, I even encourage, I can't get it all the time, but I encourage the people that take the stuff, said, when you get it in your home and it's up and, the bed is set up and your kid is sleeping in it, could you take a picture of it? And I send it to the person who let it go, because half the time people just don't want it to be trash. As much as it's nice to have a charity, there are people that will say, I'll get the letter saying thank you for your charitable donation, and they'll say, oh, you can keep that. They just want stuff to go to a good home. And what I do is literally those people on the list, I also say, if you have something on your wish list, let me know. Because if I run across a house and there's a microwave oven and someone has said, hey, Lon, next time you get a microwave oven, I contact that person because it serves me in that it serves them that they get it. It serves the client that they get rid of it. And it serves me because I don't have to pick it up.
Yeah, that's a wonderful little operation. And I hear what you're saying about like my sister and I have an old 1950s Victrola, complete with sets of 78 ceramic records. She's going to be moving in with me soon. We don't have the space we don't want that to be trash. We want someone who can appreciate that, to have that. Yes.
Another thing that I do, and I'm going to say it with a codicil though, is that a lot of what I can do, if someone's back is strong enough, they can do themselves. Except no one can do it themselves because there's emotional value to the stuff that they own. They don't want it to go away. And what I will do, my secondary line of this is I'll come in and for a fee, I will teach them how to do this, who to call, who to do this. And some people need to do it themselves. Like every once in a while, I have realized that I'll call a bunch of charities. I have told the people, by the way, here's a list of the charities that I called, because they feel they're getting their dollars worth. Because my feeling is if one of the major junk removal companies was going to cost them 10 to 15 grand to empty their house, my feeling is I would like $250 for every $1,000 I save you. So I'm giving you a 75% discount on a great deal of the work. When it's down to the trash and recycling at the end too, yeah, you can call in a standard junk company. They're still going to charge you a lot. So what I did is I call them my Uber trash guys, because they're guys with trucks who, 3 days a week, the truck's not doing anything. If they could find a way for it to make money. So I'll go, listen, if you could back up here and throw all this stuff and take it to a landfill, name your price, and what I do is to help the client. I'm always trying to help the client is I'll get 2 or 3 guys and I'll go, well, you're going to charge this much. This guy will charge this much. Oh, you'll charge that much? Great. And I always try to have I always say that I'm trying to find one more in whatever it is I do. I try to find one more client. I try to find one more metal scrapper. I try to find one more picker. I try to find one more, because pickers get bored. They find what they want. It loses its charm. But very often I'll have pickers go, "Oh, gee, my cousin, I told my cousin about you. Could you put him on the list?" And I said, "Can you speak for him?" And they were like, yeah, absolutely. I went, "Okay." I said, "First time you come with him, so that he gets the rules." And what's great is they all know the rules. They walk in now and they'll walk up and they'll go, "Is it okay that I take this?" Even though I've said, "Take anything you want," they all walk up to me and go, "Okay, I put all the items in the bag that I was going to take. Is all of this okay?" Because inevitably homeowners will say, "Just get rid of it all." And then they walk out and then, "Oh, that vase. You know what? I shouldn't let mom's vase go." And the client, I have to say to the pickers, there's going to be another vase one day. Don't love anything so much that you can't give it back if the owner says it. And that's taken a little while to hone. The neighbor, my wife teases me that I've turned the Girl Scout that I am by nature into a business, because everyone says, perfect name for you, because I've always been the guy that does this. My wife teases me. I'm not from New York originally, but she's a New York born and bred girl. So when she met me, she was like, "No one in the world is this polite." It's like, can't be. She goes, "How can I describe my husband?" "Yeah, he's the guy at Penn Station that's holding the door till everyone's gone through." and she's kind of not wrong. It's kind of my nature. She kind of rolls her eyes at the Pollyanna that I can be sometimes.
Yeah, I want to take a break from this seriousness because I can never pass on a joke. Anyway, this is an audio only show normally, but I do, since I record it in video, put the video behind the scenes on my video channels. So those looking on will see that red phone on the wall over your shoulder. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a red wall mount phone with a rotary dial there.
I'll tease you. It's not a rotary dial. If you take it, each of the buttons is a push button, like a push button phone. I just thought it was really cool, so I kept it. Although the landline phone are just museum pieces now,
Yeah.
We don't use any of the landline phones anymore. I still have the landline, and every once in a while, who calls me? Robocalls call me on the landline.
Of course. The line's still sitting on the table next to me here too, mainly because I am in my grandfather's house. It was built during World War II.
Yeah,
he worked at Ford Rouge bomber plant. They got an exemption from the rationing to be able to build the house. Unfortunately, I took down the wall phone. I wish I would have left it there, but that phone number has been here since 1944. I don't want to give it up.
But the wall phone if you need. That's the kind of thing people will call me and say, "All right, I know it's really specific, but if you ever run into this, let me know." My favorite story of this is I had a friend, I was doing this for about 3 years, and all my friends know if they want something. Now, I have a lot of acting friends. They come to New York, they get an apartment, they have no belongings. And I go, "Here's the dining room table. Here's, here's a mattress. Here's this." I get it for them all the time. One of them said to me, "You know what I've always really wanted? Always really wanted a roll top desk. Have you ever found a roll top desk?" And I said, "Gee, not only is it rather specific, it's not the kind of thing that people give up all the time." And I said, "But here's the deal. I got no one on the roll top desk list. You're number one on the roll top desk list. As soon as I find one, it's yours." 45 minutes after that phone call, someone calls me and says, "Listen, I've got this old roll top desk I got to get rid of." And I called the guy back, and he used curse words to say that I was messing with him. And I went, "I actually have a roll top desk for you." So things happen. What's really wild about this business is I haven't bought Windex in 8 years. I've bought paper towels even through the pandemic, and toilet paper like twice, because people are always, and particularly older people, when they hoard, they'll buy toilet paper in the bales, and they'll have 9 of them, and they pass from the world. Their kids don't want to fly in from Chicago and put 8 bales of toilet paper, so there's like, just get rid of it. So there's stuff that steel wool pads, coffee filters. There's things that, like, odd set of things that I never have to buy again. Every once in a while I buy dishwashing liquid, but a lot of times I find I have a 5-gallon drum of Windex in my garage, and I just constantly add to it. And when it's full, I let everyone else have the Windex. And I've given away a lot of Windex because there are things that are ultimate truths that have come out of this. And it's that no one ever has 1 bottle of Windex in their house. They have 9 in various states of size because they forgot it. It was tucked in the back of a closet. And when you clean out the house, you find all 9 Windex bottles. It's things that you find tons of. It's just, and my wife has a rule, by the way, that if something comes into the house, something goes. So our house is not 40 or dense or anything. It's very, very efficient, except for a couple of closets. But what's really funny is my wife has come in on this. My wife has a counseling background, and the angle that she's come in on is we inevitably will take on a client who is recently widowed, and whoever passed, 9 times out of 10, they're the one that made out the checks. So they know the complete, monetary system. So my wife, who is her own brand of angel, will come in and go, okay, what bills do we pay? Where are those bills? Where are the records for them? Let's find it out. How many checking accounts did your spouse have? What names were on the checking accounts? What names do we have to take off? And she does that. Strong arm, strong back. That's my department. Organizing is hers. I tease her because in college she used to highlight in 3 colors, and I tease her terribly about it because she's just super strict about, like, filing and everything, and she's really good at it. So she helps people do that. And very honestly, I have many angles in, and one of the things I say is I always do things that I do everything that sons and husbands say they're going to do, but never get around to. And in the beginning, I used to sell myself to the wives and mothers because, they had sons and husbands that just wouldn't come through. And then I got smart and I started to sell myself to the sons and husbands, because you can be the greatest son in the world. You can be the most devoted husband in the world. But when that mother asks for the garage to be emptied, even if you do it well, you will do it wrong because you are the son or because you are the husband. But if you hire your mother or your wife an angel, the angel will do it exactly the way she wants, when she wants, in the manner she wants it done. And the wife and mother is delighted, the husband is relieved, and I get paid. Everyone is happy, and it gets done. One of the big junk services says, just point and we'll carry it away. That's really nice if you're one person. If it's a couple, they're not pointing at the same things.
then you're an arbitrator.
Absolutely. And I always say that I fairly mediate on both sides. I do a lot of, oh, come on, you don't need, to the husband, this monkey wrench was at the bottom of a pile that you have not been at the bottom of in 10 years. How important is this monkey wrench to you? Okay. And I can say to the wife, come on, those shoes you can't even wear anymore. And if you lost 1,000 pounds, you wouldn't want to wear them. Here's the deal. There's a lot of things that I say at the beginning, in the middle, towards the end, that I've learned in time to say to people. One is, people always go, I want this to remember grandma by, my Uncle Bert by, they want that. And I said, in the end, at most you need 2 things to remember any one person by. One thing that you walk by in the house, and another thing that you maybe carry out into the world, Uncle Bert's hat or your grandmother's, scarf, that sort of thing. You don't need a lot. And the one that I ultimately say when they're really having a hard time, I said, you have all these people that I see that you love and that you want to remember. If this place burned down tomorrow and all the things were destroyed, would you remember those people any less? And they're like,
yeah, no, of course not. Right.
You can't say that on day one.
Right.
Exactly. And I've learned that. I've learned, like, sort of the timing of it. That's where I've gotten better doing what I do. And it's so funny. It's like just being a better angel, to the point that people call me and leave messages for Angel. They think it's my name. Which, you know what?
That's
In a world of things that you could be called, I'll take that.
Yeah, like I was saying, my sister's going to be moving in with me soon. We need somebody like you for where she's moving out of.
Right.
Can you fly into Michigan? Yeah.
Well, it's so funny that you say that. Last week, a week before last, I did a job in Massachusetts. I've done jobs in Ohio. So Michigan is not without possibility. What I learned a few years in is that I have several really good stories. There are lots of good stories about this because people are interesting, the situations are interesting. So my best friend from college, the guy that was my best man, was living in Ohio. From Ohio, moved to Israel very quickly. Got a job in public radio in Israel and moved there. He took the complete contents of a one-bedroom apartment that he was living in and threw it in a storage space. And then he was in Israel for a year, and then 2 years, and then 5, and then 7. And he went, I've been paying for this the whole time. It's time that I got rid of this. So he has a pretty good record of everything that he had. And he said, I want to retain this stuff out of that space, but everything else can go. Would you go to Ohio and do it? Well, my wife has a sister in Marietta, Ohio. And I said, you said you wanted to go visit your sister. So I bring it there. I said to my friend, I need a month before I do it, because what I did immediately is I went on to Craigslist and I found metal scrappers and charities and pickers out there and bred them for a month to let them know that it was going. Okay. I pull up to a storage space, one of those, rental storage spaces at 4:30 in the morning, because if I say the pick begins at 3 in the morning, there will be someone there at 2 waiting with a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter what time. So the place opens at 6. I announced that it opened at 6. I was there at 4:30 and there was somebody already there. So I said, I can't get in until 6 o'clock. He goes, that's okay. He said, I'll make this easy on you. I want everything in there. He and his wife had been burned out of an apartment a week beforehand. So he and I just sorted through. I took out the stuff that my friend wanted. He took everything else. And the guy said, listen, anything that I don't want, I'm just going to take, because you need to get rid of it anyway. I'll get rid of it for you. So I sorted for 3 hours and I drank coffee the rest of the time while he and a buddy threw everything in a pickup truck twice. And it was done. And now I can do that. I've done it in Rhode Island. I've done it in Pennsylvania. So now I have someone, I'm actually negotiating now, someone who wants me to empty a space in Mexico City. And I need to do it simply so I can say I'm international,
Oh, absolutely. That makes sense. Yes.
And what's so funny is that one of my biggest ways, as much as I do social media, I don't do it well, like I said, because I'm techno-Amish. One of the things that I do is I go to street fairs and such and just put up a booth. And what's great about being a booth at a crafts fair is I'm not the guy with candles and I'm not the guy with pillows. I'm the guy that's an angel. And they walk up like, what's that about? And I get immediate attention because I'm so vastly different. And I talk to people, and people at crafts fair generally are people with discretionary income, and they're older people a lot of the times. So, and no matter what older people in the world, I talk to their kids a lot too. That's where I've had to get social media savvy, because they want the QR codes, they want the presence online. And it's led to, this is the most hopeful thing that I have. I am in several networking groups, and I one day I'm running the month's worth of meetings online for a group that I belong to. And one of my associates said, this, it's weird today. Two of my clients referred to me as a superhero. And I heard the comment, I let it slide. The meeting kept going on. And I went back to him. I said, so if you were a superhero, what would your name be? And he went, I don't know. And then he came up with, so he's an investment guy. He goes, Income Man. And I went, okay, that's cool. Big eye on your thing. And he went, sure. So the meeting went on. I went back to him. I said, what would that costume look like? And I kept turning him into superhero. I said, who's your sidekick? What does your car look like? What's in your utility belt? I kept going. So at the very end of the meeting, I said, okay, guys, next week, all of you are members of a new Justice League. I want to know. And I came up with this. And I went on Facebook with my friends and said, hey guys, I'm doing this. Help me out. I have a friend from high school that drew a picture of me in like anime style with completely jacked up with these giant wings and this chrome halo and stuff. It was really cool. And as it was unfolding on Facebook, another friend from high school said, I got to tell you, this conversation is hysterical. I'm loving it. So's my son. My son's hysterical. And I said, great, glad he's enjoying it. Thought nothing of it. The next day, he said, my son wants to talk to you. My first thought is, oh my God, this guy's son wants to become the St. Louis Obispo, California neighborhood angel, which I'm cool with. I'll help him set him up. Okay. He said, no. My son's a producer, a TV producer, and he thinks my business would make an interesting like reality show. So the step that I'm taking is I have to turn it into like a YouTube channel first and do those kind of videos. And I would love to get to the point. I don't know if you've seen the guys on YouTube that like cut grass or do power washing for nothing. Have you seen these guys?
No, I've not noticed it.
You can
That's
look it
something
up.
I've not heard of. I don't quite get why they'd be doing that, but
Okay, what they are is they are guys that do a standard job, and a lot of clients don't want to see them film. You know, you don't want your yard filmed, okay? But in the neighborhood is this house that looks like, you know, the wrath of God. And he goes over to that house, and either it's been abandoned, but it's an eyesore in the neighborhood, or, you know, the guy's, you know, in a wheelchair and he can't cut the grass and, you know, that sort of thing. And he goes over and he goes, how about I cut your grass for nothing, but you have to let me film it? And he basically always gets the person's story, and it's always a great story why the person can't cut the grass. You know, their son moved away. You know, it's a woman taking care of two challenged kids, that sort of thing, and they don't have the time. And he cuts the grass, and the person's always incredibly thankful. He pixelates license plates and street numbers and all that, and he does it. And he turns to the camera and he goes, "If you like that I do this, hit the like." Just the like. He doesn't even ask.
uh-oh, you froze. Lon is frozen, so I'm going to stall for time here as hopefully that sorts out. But now that he's saying that is very interesting, something I would have certainly never thought of. I'm going to click open the chat here and say, you are frozen. And I was going to be wrapping this up at this point anyway. So if Lon doesn't unfreeze, we indeed are going to just wrap it up here. And this, I had no idea whatsoever where this was going to go when it began. And it indeed was just, you know, my inner instinct was that neighborhood angel, this is going to be a good story. And indeed, it's turned into a very, very different and interesting story. And exactly one of the things with the ChristiTutionalist Politics midweek drop interviews I hope to do with you don't necessarily always relate to Christianity, Christitutionalistism, or politics at all. There's no politics involved at all in any of this, but it's very nice. Okay, I've stalled long enough while Lon was frozen there. But yeah, Lon, I was just saying, I'm going to wrap it up, but I had no idea where this was going to go when we started, but my inner gut said, there's got to be a great story here, and indeed, I think it is. It has nothing generally to do with my show, but I think a great thing to present anyway. So I want to thank you for coming on, but to wrap things up, let's go back to your other life as an actor. Let's at least cover a little bit of that.
Well, I grew up in Massachusetts, just north of Boston, and my high school had this amazing theater program. And my mom turned to the person who ran the theater department in my school and said, "Is he any good?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd let him try." So I ended up going to Hofstra University on Long Island. I went full scholarship into their drama program. Okay. And I've always really liked it. I didn't end up acting professionally for a long time. I got terrified. and I went and just went regular. I was a New York City school teacher for almost 20 years. I taught English, and when I left, I went back into acting. I actually even have written a one-man play that I tour the country doing any place that I can do it. It is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with John Leguizamo. He does these one-man shows about his Latino heritage.
Yes, yes.
Mine is about the heritage of I'm kind of from a white trash family. I'm from the other side of the tracks, and I'm the kid that arose out of that. I'm the one of all those brothers and sisters that didn't end up in trouble with the law or something like that. And my brothers and sisters refer to me as the white sheep of the family.
That's interesting. That's wonderful. That's great. I like that.
And it's been a really interesting life. I have ended up nowhere where I thought I'd end up, and I get teased about this a great deal, that, that I'm just doing what I was always meant to do, which is, just be a nice guy and help out. And it's kind of my nature.
And it's turned into a profitable thing for you. That's great. I mean, that happens with a lot of people. They go to school for something and it never factors into their life work a lot of times. Like I had on Bullseye the Clown several months ago. Like he too went to be involved in drama and acting and that. And now he's spending his time clowning around and having fun with Patch Adams and others doing that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM is your conservative flamethrower. Weekdays, Steve Gruber starts things off at 6 a.m. Gruber gives his perspective on the issues of the day. At 9 a.m., Glenn Beck blazes the airwaves with his nationally syndicated program. From noon to 3, it's Dennis Prager. At 3 o'clock, it's Wham's own Thayrone X. On the Edge, Thayrone tells it exactly as he sees it. At 6, it's The Dana Show, your conservative alternative. At 8, don't miss Joe Pags. Weekends are filled with conservative talk as well. Fingers Malloy, Thomas LeDuc, The Abolitionists Roundtable, A Moment of Clarity with Pastor Rick, Your American Heritage with Ed Bondarenka, Dave Janda's Operation Freedom, and Dick Kupke's Trigger Talk. You can even get links to Wham podcasts from Dave, Dick, and of course Thayrone, all from their pages on our website, whamradio.com. Keep it locked on Wham Radio, 1600 AM and 92.7 FM in southeastern Michigan, and whamradio.com anywhere in the world.
Can I don't know. How did you find out about me? How did you locate me?
I use radio guest list, podcast guest list, and Matchmaker FM to see who is out there.
Because I'm always happy to do one of these. I'm also happy to do, I do a really cool, I come and do speeches, 2 groups, TED Talkish, I guess, support. And what I do is I do my version before I even knew it was the term of the Swedish death clean. Do you know the term, the Swedish death clean?
No.
The Swedes have a national philosophy that you spend the first half of your life accumulating your things, and it is your obligation the second half of your life to divest yourself. Okay? It's important to get rid of these things. And what I do is I walk in with 4 very neat suitcases and a trash can, and I go through the contents of these suitcases, which are all things that are in your home that need not be anymore, like Chinese mustard packets from a restaurant. Because if you have extra ones, that means you no longer have food, which means you no longer need the packets, or the soy sauce, or the duck sauce, or the chopsticks, or the menus. You know what I mean? Because next time you order, you're going to order online and they're going to send you all those things anyway. And it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying you really don't need these things anymore. Yellow phone books, sorry, no one needs them. And everyone has yellow phone books from 20 years ago stuffed in the back of the closet because they just said at some point they're going to need to remember that number, So they literally have an entire phone book for one number, which now is on a computer desktop somewhere. And it's really difficult. And it's very hard for people who are, a generation back, I tease that I'm techno-Amish. My parents were the ones saying, why is it flashing 12? Why is the clock always flashing 12?
Yes. We all know people like that.
Right.
Hey,
and I'm sure the kids today, will have something that when I used to teach, they would tease me about the music that their parents listened to. And I was teaching at the time, and I said, I guarantee you one day you are going to be sitting on your porch listening to your grandkids, listening to something that sounds like a cat being turned inside out, going, this, Grandpa, this is real music. And you're going to be like, no, 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 Tupac, that's when they knew how to write stuff. Jay-Z, that's classic music, It's just always everyone's music of their generation, and it's all things. Decor, TV shows, everything from your time was the best that it was ever going to be.
Yeah, I'm a former IT guy because my microwave flashes 12 because I don't bother to set it because I have clocks.
Right.
I don't need that clock, so it's not that I can't do it. It's that I just don't bother. But yeah, a lot of people, it's like, I don't want to be bothered how to figure that out. Exactly. Right. All right. Well, thanks again, Lon Blais, spelled Blais. And indeed, the more I think about it, I think I came across you on podcast guest list service.
Yes, I avail myself. And very honestly, you're the first person that's availed yourself of me.
Again, like I said, when you were frozen, I want to find different kind of quirky. This has nothing to do with ChristiTutionalist politics, but that's in part what these midweek special drops are about. Just odd, quirky things that are different.
Someone asked me the other day what my belief in God was. And I said, you know what, Mike? I said, my belief in God is my belief in God. As your belief in God is your belief in God. And if you're making it way through life and you seem happy and everything, God bless you for having your way. God bless me for having my way. Okay? The minute we start to compare and contrast, that's when we get in problem. To me, my religion is the good deeds I do. That to me is how you represent. Ultimately at the end of the day, I try every person that I meet, I try to leave them in a better place than I found them. And if I do that, then I've led a really good life.
Yeah,
I can even do that as a business. I can cost you so much less money because I know how to do it and do it more charitably and all that. It's the way to do it.
Yeah, the do unto others is a staple in virtually any and every religion. We don't need to argue about the specific of the religion beyond that to get along.
My codicil to that, I always said that there's a codicil to the golden rule. It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Maybe I don't want to be done unto your way. I want to be done unto my way. And I want you to do unto me my way. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of important because just because it works for you doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for me. And you can apply that with all the good faith in the world and all the good intention in the world and go, it's not the best fit. I want to serve you in a way that fits you best and is most comfortable for you.
That's wonderful. And we've kind of come full circle. Like I said, this never had any intention necessarily to do with faith or politics, but we kind of close on that now. So again,
I'll close with what is on the back of my t-shirts. Eventually, everybody needs an angel.
Very good. Thank you, Lon Blais. Take care. God bless. Have a great day.
You too.
Wait. Don't tune out yet. Oh, I interrupt the end of the show to bring you an important announcement. I already mentioned at the top of the show, I made a mistake. Apparently, I thought maybe we were having a time zone misunderstanding because I generally record at 1300 Eastern Time, 1 p.m. in the afternoon, or 1900, 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the evening, and we were to record at 1900. But apparently, when I sent the Zoom link that I set up for 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I typoed an 8 instead of a 9 for 1800. So my apologies, but as you heard or saw, we worked it out. And in my opinion, I think it was a great show. Again, in my gut, not really knowing what Neighborhood Angel was, there would be a good story there. And I want to bring you some interesting, different, quirky stories at times, whether they relate to ChristiTutionalist politics or not, just for something different that you're not getting elsewhere. But I'm having to tack this extra piece on the end because I made a podcaster blunder again during the show. We kept talking and going on, and it went longer than I was expecting. So I forgot to do the quintessential last question. If people need to reach out to you, where would they do that at? I didn't ask the question, so Lon didn't get a chance to tell you. So here I am back to say, if you want the Neighborhood Angel, Lon Blais, again, Blais, you can reach him at via email, the Neighborhood Angel, of course, all one word, the Neighborhood Angel at gmail.com, or he's graciously allowed me to give out his phone number. You could call him at 646-996-6231, and I'll repeat that, 646-996-6231, and it will be in the official Buzzsprout location where this show is housed. If you're listening on a different platform, if you go to buzzsprout.com to find ChristiTutionalist podcast, screwing up my own show name, ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast at Buzzsprout, you can see the full set of show notes in the transcript that is there at Buzzsprout, and the email and number will be in the full show notes. So thank you for tuning in. Take care. God bless. Hopefully there wasn't a third thing I forgot during this show. As I've told you, just a regular guy doing a show. You get it, warts and all. Not a lot of edits. Here it is. Here's how it was, so here's how you get it. Take care, all. God bless.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics Show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you. Available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. All substance, no fluff. No fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
It is a myth that terrorism stopped during COVID. Unfortunately, mainstream media opted to prioritize pandemic hysteria over promoting all news. Terrorism continues. Simply hoping that it doesn't affect you is not a strategy. The new book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, featured on The Author Show, is now available in paperback from bookstores, online, or as an ebook exclusively through Amazon Kindle. Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you by Joseph M. Leonard. Order today.